Hello everyone, and glad to have you back. In our last lesson, we saw how we could work with variables and data types. We knew about integers, floats, and booleans, and we saw a few examples. This time around, let's go ahead and see how we can convert from one data type to another using casting. So let's just go ahead and see that. I'll open up the Explorer and I'll create a new file, and I'll call that casting.py. Just press the return key and I'll just press Ctrl B just to hide that view. Next, I'll just create a comment and I'm just going to say working with casting, and casting is used to convert a data type to another data type. Like so, and I'll go ahead and save that. So here, let's go ahead and create a variable, and we'll just name that number of cars, and I'll set that to 23. Or let's make that a string and say 23. And let's just say amount per car. Basically, this is the amount for each car, and let's take a numerical value. Let's just say 4,000 for example's sake. So we have the number of cars as 23 and we have the amount per car. So if a customer buys all cars, our sale is going to be equal to the number of cars multiplied by the amount per car. Right, makes sense. And if we want to see that output, we're just simply going to print sale, like so. So if I save this and we go to run and start without debugging, what's going to happen is that we're going to get something very funny happening here. Now, this is happening because when you multiply a string data type with a number, it's going to repeat that string. So we are actually not getting a numerical result of 4,000 multiplied by 23. For instance, if let's start up a new terminal right here, and let me just see, I could just go to terminal and say new terminal. If the terminal opens up and we just say Python on the terminal and we try multiplying 4,000 multiplied by 23, remember we use an asterisk to multiply numerical values, we're going to get 92,000. We're not getting 92,000 here as our result because we're actually telling it to display 23, right, 4,000 times. So how do we tell Python that this 23 we want it to be a number? Well, we can cast the string 23 into an integer, and to do that we simply say we call the int method and we close this with parentheses like so. We're actually going to save this, and if we run it, so I'm going to hit Control and F5 and run this, we should actually see the results 92,000, which is the result we want to use. Again, we actually achieved that through casting. We can actually convert our results into a float value, so by casting to a float value. So I'm going to just add a comment here and just say a casting, say number of cars to integer, right? So if we wanted to cast the result, which is sale, into a float, all we're actually going to do is just say float, and we're just going to say sale. And if we actually want to see that result, we can just print out the results, right, like so. And we can check the type of sale right now. So type sale, And we also want to print out the type, the data type of sale. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to say print type sale like so. Here we're just printing the output. And here we're actually printing the type. So if I save that and run this, whoops, I'll just click run, get rid of that by pressing the escape key and saving this. So if I go to run and start without debugging, so right here I'm going to get that this is 92,000. This is a float, and then it's telling us the class is an integer, right? So if we wanted to cast this into another type, we can save it as another variable. So what I mean is that we can actually go over here and say float underscore sale is going to be equal to float sale. So now we're casting our float value. Let me just comment this out, or we can actually do it right here. We can take this entire code right here, or these two parts, and put them under. And remember, it actually runs from the top to the bottom. So what's going to happen is that I'll just copy this too. I'll just cut it using Control X and paste this under. So once I've done that, I'm just going to print out you know what, I've already converted this into a float, so I'm just going to print out float underscore sale like so, and I'm going to ask for the type of float underscore sale since I've saved it as a new variable. So I can just go ahead and save that, and let's press Control F5 to run this, and we can actually see it's a class float this time around. So basically that's pretty much how you could change one type to the other. And what we can even do is to convert it back to a string using an str method. For instance, if I have a number and that number is 23, if I wanted to convert the number 23 to a string, I'll just say str underscore num to represent string number, which is going to equal to str, and I'll just say number. So if we want to see what just happened right now, we can print the type of number, and we can also print out the type of the str underscore num. So we want to print out the types. So here what we're doing is casting an integer to string, and what we're actually doing here is we're just printing out the types. So I'll just put this above and say printing the type. If you put the comment on the left hand side, it's going to convert your entire code into a comment. You don't want that. That's why I'm always commenting on the right or on top of my script. So here I'm just going to press F5. Okay, I think that's function F5. It's actually going crazy, so I'll just go to run and start without debugging. So right now we can actually see we have class string, and we also have so I'll just scroll down like so, and it's telling us there's a string and num, right? So I think it wiped it out. Good. So we actually see that we have a string and integer. So these are the last two printouts we had. So the first type is an integer and the second type is a string because we wanted to check the type of string num. So this is actually going to wrap this up. This is a very quick one, and that's how we can actually cast our types. Now you notice something funny happening to my Visual Studio Code. If we actually look at the right here and I click on source control, I'm actually having this project on Git, which is a version control software. So basically what it's doing is it's recording the changes each time I create a new file and I make changes to that file. It's going to tell me that it knows I'm making changes and I need to actually commit those changes. So here I'm going to just click this and I'm going to write a comment and just say added a Python file for type casting. And once I click this arrow, it's going to tell me if I want to save changes to the commit. I'm going to say yes, and I want to sync this changes, which will push the commit to the original. Now we'll be looking at Git and GitHub in our future lesson, but if you want to quickly look at what Git and GitHub is and what version control is, you can just click the link on the video above. So once again, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next lesson.